Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Just type one and let me know. Um, Good evening, everyone, or afternoon or morning, wherever you may be. Yeah, Rudy, hopefully he will be quiet and lie down. Yeah, we'll see. He's got a bone. So let's see what happens. So yeah, I'm a little earlier. Uh, yeah, I have gone from starting at 9 to starting at 8:30. That's good that everyone can hear me. A lot of you guys typing one. Jeffrey Morris is here. Loads of you. We'll wait a little longer until everyone gets here. If you're watching this recorded, jump about 7 minutes because that's going to be the official time. Let's hope he calms down, Rudy, and just goes to sleep. We'll see. We've got Not Joe King, Evening Mario. This month's read is LVM Theory of Money and Credit. Ludwig von Mises. Okay, yeah. Teague Materi from Alberta. So it looks like he's okay, Rudy. Yeah, Rudy is back. It's difficult to get him there to be quiet. He should be calming down. He's got periods. He goes mad for about an hour or so. He runs around, plays, and then he goes to sleep. But I think he's going to calm down right now. Ant H is here. Evening, Mario and Rudy. Universal vibes. There you go. You can see him a little more here. There you go. I think he's going to calm down soon. So the title of the live stream, as we wait for more people to get on, is Economic and Monetary Turbulence Ahead as China rallies behind Russia. I think it's really important what's going on geopolitically because it affects markets, finance, the monetary system, currencies, and we're going to look into that today. I've got some other topics, of course, to talk about, and I'll take your questions as well. We got another 5 minutes to let people come on. And if you are watching this recorded, jump to about 7 minutes after the start of this recorded live stream. Anton Spoe, Slovensko, don't understand that language, I'm sorry. Gianfranco Bergagna, we are in the way for a new 10/19/1987. Oh, you think a stock market crash? I'm not sure because some people think that a bear market in stocks never starts with a crash. In 1987, there was a crash and then the market picked up and it now looks just like a blip in the long-term bull market. So I'm not too sure we're going to get a huge, I think it dropped 22% in one day, the Dow. How bad will be tomorrow? I can't predict the next day. What I think is things are changing and what's Rudy up to? Rudy, stop that. Oh. Boy, don't want him to fall off the sofa. So here he is. He's a bit of a handful tonight. There he goes. Rudy, say hello to the world. There you go. Come on, Rudy. Good boy. I think you're gonna have to go now. Way Deep Inside is here. Hello from Premier Inn, RJ McShane. Russia took out oil supply of the Druzhba pipeline into Poland. Rudy's got the zoomies. BR Williams says hello. Someone says Trump 2024, then G, bye-bye NATO. Whole Bitcoiner says, saw a t-shirt, I support the current thing. Did you guys see as well? I think Woody Harrelson, he made a pretty funny joke about his movie script, and I think the mainstream media didn't like it. Rudy, come on, say goodbye to everyone. I'm gonna just give me a second. Rudy, do you want to go on the sofa, Rudy? Or I'm gonna take him out. Sarah, can you take Rudy? Sarah. Oh. Yeah, he's Rudy's not calm enough to be on the live stream, so he's going back with his mom. He's feisty tonight. That's right. Kunai Sony, do you support Trump? No, I don't support any politician. I don't believe we need someone on a white horse to save the world. We all need to, be in charge of our own affairs. So I'm apolitical. Ministry of Metals. Yeah, we keep the wee pads for Rudy. He's doing quite well. But anyway, he probably does want back in. John Bethia, Mario raising another child. Yeah, it is a little bit like that. The Billy and the other dog before Billy, who was called Billy as well. I was always at work really most of the time, and my wife and my daughter really did a lot of the training. But yeah, it's like almost 24/7. Kilted Sasquatch says Yamana Gold just became a silver company too. So Mario Gold is in a correction phase. Yeah, it is. So is the dollar, I guess. The dollar is strengthened. Startup with Analytica, what is going on with gold? Nothing. My gold still looks the same. We've actually been buying some gold. So actually, I think it's the best time to buy is when the sentiment is really bad and no one wants to buy. It's better than buying when it's like it was maybe 3 weeks ago. Cat Court says, great interview, John Titus. Yeah, I like John Titus. If people haven't listened to it, make sure you do. Kunai Sony says gold will slip down more. Versus what, Kunai? Depends on what currency you have in your country. I guess maybe you're in the US. William Pound, can you comment on Austrian silver coin doesn't ping like eagles? Is that the Philharmonic? I think I might have some of those. Yeah, they're just different coins. I mean, but they're still silver. And I guess some people might prefer to buy the coins from their countries, but as long as it's silver. Did you know that up until the Civil War, there were no legal tender laws in the US, and people were still using the Spanish silver dollars in the US. It's still circulated. The dog looks different, Six Sigma. Yeah, he's a new puppy. Unfortunately, Billy passed away in December. So Rudy is he's just over 12 weeks now. So he's a puppy. He has been on the sofa quietly, but it's difficult to time it. So, okay, now we can talk a little bit about the title of the live stream, Economic and Monetary Turbulence Ahead as China Rallies behind Russia. So I think it's very important. I'm going to start sharing some stuff here. Let's look at it. The first thing I wanted to share is this here, because it's not just China that's really not playing ball with the West, so to speak, with NATO, the US, you know, the Anglo-American empire. It's the G20 as well, as you can see here. There's a G20 finance ministers and central bankers meeting in India. And G20 meeting ends in discord as Russia and China refuse to condemn Ukraine war. And it says here, India's finance minister would not say whether her country was among the nations that backed the criticism. So that's almost like saying that they did back the criticism, that they, you know, they're going along with Russia and China. So I think that's very significant. We are told in the mainstream media, and am I taking sides here and saying I want this to happen? No, I'm just looking at things and how it's going to affect the markets, the currencies, precious metals, commodities. What I think this will do, it's going to accelerate the move away from the dollar by the global south, as they call it. And it's going to hurt not just the US, Europe, and the UK, but the whole world. It's going to be turbulent, as I say in my title. And the other thing I wanted to touch upon is this. This was this political statement from Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China. So this was on Friday. China's position on the political settlement of the Ukraine crisis. So you see, this is quite important. This is something the neocons, and I'm not criticizing Americans, I'm criticizing the neocons who are in charge of foreign policy in the US. They had a neocon during the Trump administration, John Bolton. Don't know how he got involved with the Trump administration. I think he was sacked eventually. But the neocons, they don't respect any other country's sovereignty. Abandoning the Cold War mentality, that's the neocons as well. The Chinese are saying, you know, let's cooperate. Let's cease hostilities. Let's resume peace talks. You know, that's so this is going to be a no-no, of course, for the Biden administration, which is under the control of the neocons. They're very intransigent, and I'm not sure where they're trying to take the world. Some would say it's to World War II, World War III. But even if we don't get to a World War situation and we stay in like a Cold War mentality, I think China now is going to be the next target for sanctions, and that's going to disrupt everything. And that's why I think it's going to be turbulent times ahead, not just for the economy, but markets. And the other, I recommend these guys from the Duran. They talk about this in more geopolitical sense. They don't go on into the economic and financial aspect of things. So those are the things, the main points I wanted to make about the title of this video. So, and the topic that the main topic of the live stream, this is another one. This was actually, says G20 tussles over Ukraine war as West steps sanctions. So it's only the EU, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and maybe Japan that are going along with what the US is saying. The rest of the world is, they want peace and they want people to cooperate. They're tired of being told what to do. So let's stop sharing here and look at see if you guys have any questions. MW351 says it's snowing in California. I saw that it was snowing in the desert in Saudi Arabia, first time in 100 years. That's global warming, right? William William PMCD, can you comment? Does it look like Chinese industry, et cetera, is in full swing for the foreseeable future? Well, I guess they did stop the lockdowns, so I think they are. But if there is a disruption, if there are sanctions from the West, that could change. And but they could be trying to expand their markets. I know the U.S. market and Western Europe are huge markets for them, but as of now, I think that it's still pretty strong. The Chinese economy is probably picking up again. Yeah, RJ McShane, what I think this will mean is that the Chinese are going to probably try to maybe not add to their dollar reserves. They might accelerate the de-dollarization. They might they'll definitely try to get a new system. I think the Russians are, a new system to replace SWIFT, because that could be very serious. I don't think the neocons in charge of DC and London want to hear what the Chinese have to say, and I think the Chinese now they have said, we're behind Russia, and the reason they say that, I think, and the Durand say it, the guys in the Durand, is because China knows that Russia is going to win in Ukraine, and that also the sanctions haven't really hurt Russia that much. So, and I think China is confident enough to stand its ground. Scoobyism 3, yeah, I do miss Billy. We all miss Billy. Unfortunately, that's the way things go. We can't live forever, and but I do miss him. Valley Dance Arabia, China has 50-year contract with Saudi Arabia. Teague Materi, thank you for your super chat. What happens in Germany when the US blowing up their infrastructure becomes common knowledge? Well, I think it's common knowledge. I mean, I think I knew the US had done it like last year. I didn't have to wait for Cy Hirsch to say so, but they're trying to bury that story. I would say there are a lot of people in Germany, and I have some friends in Germany who know about this, but I mean, I don't know very well, but I would say the mainstream media in Germany, the government there, they're trying to cover this up, which is pretty bad, I think. So, but how long, will it take for people to wake up? I think people are waking up very quickly. It's all accelerating, and all this geopolitical Cold War that we're having, new Cold War with Russia, all it's doing, it's accelerating, it's pushing the rest of the world away from the West, and the de-dollarization is going to be even quicker. And what that will mean, not just for the US, but for Europe and the UK, because our currencies are a derivative of the dollar, but so are the other currency around the world, even the Chinese and the ruble. They're going to suffer as well. But I think they have a lot of the commodities, like Zoltan says, they're huge commodity countries. And we in Western Europe, US and UK, we're huge debt countries. I know China has a lot of debt, but it still has a big industry. I think it will mean more and more debasement of our currencies. The central banks. This is another thing I want to talk about today. The central banks. I think the markets are losing faith in them. Bond yields are starting to rise again, and I don't think the Fed they've lost control of the narrative, because what central banks like to do is inflate just enough to keep things going, to keep their friends on Wall Street and the city happy, but not too much to make it uncomfortable for us in the general public. And I think now they've lost control of it. That's what's going on. Paco's Human, along with the Duran's New Atlas, Brian B. is also a very good reference source. Oh, I haven't heard of New Atlas. I'll look into it. Thomas Moran, when it says that America's 31 trillion in debt, who do they owe that money to? That's the federal public debt. Some of it is owned by the Federal Reserve. Some of it is owned by foreigners. A lot of it is owned by foreigners. Some of it is owned by investors, domestic. So it's owned by different people. I think we can look it up. Let's have a look. Who owns the U.S. national debt? Let's see. I'm sure I can get a pie chart. Yeah, there we go. This is from well, this is from 2018. It's too old, but it'll give you an idea. I know it's old, but it will give you an idea who owns it. The number really doesn't matter. It's the proportion. So there you go. U.S. investors own quite a bit. The Federal Reserve, that's a lot more now, of course. Even the U.S. government, other agencies own it. And then foreign investors. So there you go. The thing about the national debt is that it's getting so out of control. And I wanted to, good thing you brought up the national debt, because I wanted to talk about this, and I'm going to share this with you guys. Here we go. Share it. Here we go. This is the federal government current expenditures, interest payments. So they've just updated the fourth quarter. So it's gone from 736 billion in interest payments only on that debt. We're now at 852 billion. So interest rates kind of up until recently, government bond yields went down. I'm not sure what Q1 is going to be like. We got to wait in a few more months. But yeah, look how it's picking up here. Excuse me. So if we go back, yeah, let's go 10 years. Gives you an idea. It's really taken off. And that's because bond yields are going up and bond prices are going down, because yeah, people are concerned about inflation. And I took some notes because I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be after the first quarter, but it's fast approaching $1 trillion. But for example, at the end of 2022, the 1 month T-bill yield was 3.95. Now it's 4.62. And a lot of the US debt is short term, so they have to keep rolling over. 3 month went from 440 to 483. 6 month from 476 to 511. So yeah, and a lot of this debt is short term. As I said, when they have to roll it, it's going to be a higher cost for the government. So it's going to get worse. And the economy, the only way they can keep the economy going, I think, is if they keep ratcheting up this geopolitical tension. We've been hearing about increasing defense spending. I think that's the only card they have to keep things going, unfortunately, and it could lead to a real kinetic war. And this is not just in the US, this is in the UK and in the EU. Yeah, that silver tax, the amount of debt is disgraceful, and the problem is the fiat currency system where there's no anchor of gold or silver. It's very easy to inflate, and the more you inflate, the more you have to keep inflating, and the interest on the debt gets bigger. It's a vicious circle. Dan G, thank you for your super chat. US What US the best gold, silver to own for barter? I assume you mean what US gold is the best one to and silver to own for barter? Well, for silver, I would say the pre-1965 half dollars, quarters, and dimes. And for gold, I would say any, maybe even pre-1933 gold coins, like the $20 gold pieces, the double eagle, the $10 or the $5. There's even a $2.50, and also the gold eagles, the 1 ounce. I would say those are the best. Niels, Han Dynasty. Have you heard of the new Britannia Liberty collaboration coins? No, I have not. I have not. No, I have not. I have not. MW351. Why is the dollar holding its value? People are still using it, or is it being manipulated? Well, yeah, people still use the dollar a lot. It's been, around as a major reserve currency since World War II. But I think, um, is it really holding its value? Ask an American how much they can buy with $20 these days. It's not that much. So it seems like it's holding its value because it's strong against other currencies that are even worse. So yeah, that's, I mean, they have, of course, kind of suppressed, I would say, the gold and silver price, but I don't think that will last. And it's a great opportunity, in my opinion, to keep exchanging, because there's no fiat currency in history that hasn't gone to basically worthlessness. And I don't think it's going to be any different for the dollar. Joker Alpha, what is looking good this year? Invest in property or invest in gold? Well, property, I think, is shaky right now as well. I think they might try to keep inflating it here in the UK. But I think some prices are dropping, even nominally. But in real terms, if you look back at our currency, the rise in house prices in the UK is really a bit artificial. But gold, I think it's always a good insurance to have. And yeah, in the end, gold and silver are going to win out, because these fiat currencies, yeah, the central banks, they're losing the battle, and they've already raised rates so much, and they still can't keep prices from rising, even though the M2 is dropping. So can you imagine when they start cutting again? It's gonna, yeah, it's not just gonna be bad for the dollar, but it's gonna be bad for all currencies. But the dollar could still do well when they cut again. But even a guy that I sometimes don't agree with, which is Brent Johnson at the dollar milkshake theory. This is what he said. I wanted to show you guys here on Twitter. he says, since this will very likely happen when every other central bank is also bailing out their respective country, this is how you get the dollar, gold, and US equities all rising. Yeah, this is the crack up boom. So the next great bull market starts after the next recession when the Fed's forced to bail out the US. And I think it's getting pretty close. The other thing I wanted to show you is Japan, because where is it? Where did I put that? Oh, here we go. Because I tweeted this out the other day. You see, I got 46 likes. It's not that much. I've got about 13,000 followers on Twitter, but I said, so much for those who said that Japan was a special case because of its demographics and that the Bank of Japan could just print to infinity, and that QE, some people still think QE is deflationary. Japan's CPI growing at the highest rate in over 41 years. So there you go. We had 4.3% CPI in Japan. That was the highest since January of 1982. I was still in high school back then. So there you go. So much for the deflationistas. Yeah, Tristan says, nice chart on trading view. Nationwide house price index doesn't look good for housing market at the moment. Yeah, and bond yields in the UK, gilt yields are going back up. We saw the 2-year break through 3.6, which is an important level, and it closed above 4% on Friday. Those 2-year yields are very important in setting the mortgage rates. Pikachu Geopolitical Economy Report is another excellent YouTube channel to follow. Okay. Arthur Cisneros, bail in, you mean? Well, I think the guy means bail out, like in terms of doing QE, bailing out the system, not the banks. But yeah, the banks next time, if they're in trouble, they will bail in the depositors. I agree. Gianfranco Bergani, do you expect a bull market in stocks again? Not really. That guy thinks it will help stocks, but it could be from a lot lower levels. We're seeing stocks go down now. By the time that happens, if that happens, stocks could be a lot lower. I still think the place to be, Gianfranco, is hard assets. They will outperform like they did last year. Commodities outperformed stocks and bonds. Gold was unchanged in dollars, but it was up 11% in pounds. Even silver was up. So I still favor hard assets. I'm not saying the miners is a stable investment. It's very choppy. And that's why I never recommend, well, I don't make recommendations, but I think people need to be careful with leverage if you're going to leverage. How many bushels of wheat for an ounce of gold? Well, let's see what the bushel of wheat costs right now. CME wheat. I don't really follow CME wheat too much, but let's have a look. Wheat futures. What's the price? They're trading for, I think, $7 a bushel. So, you just have to do the, what's 800, I don't know, 800, where did gold settle? I don't remember. Let's see. 812, 1812. divided by 7. 200 and, well, you can buy 258 bushels for an ounce right now. I don't really follow too much that ratio, but maybe you do. You think silver will see 30 in 2023? I don't know. We should be way above 30, but we're not. So, but it doesn't stop me from exchanging. The other thing that I look at, if I have extra fiat currency in the bank, is that, do I really want to finance these banks? And also, by having fiat currency, you're financing although this funding of wars and everything. So does gold go to 1700 and 1900 first from here? Your guess is as good as mine, Joshua Porter. Daniel Sanz says gold is, yeah, you see, I think we worry too much about the fiat prices. And all I worry, and it's taken me a while. I mean, I started stacking back in 02. I mean, I've been stacking for a long time. In the beginning, yeah, I followed, and I still follow the fiat price, but the most important thing is to try to grow the amount of grams or ounces that you have. That's how you got to look at it. If gold goes to a 1700, hopefully you'll be able to buy quite a bit more than you can right now. And I say hopefully because a lot of times the premiums are so high when the paper price drops like that it doesn't make too much difference. Alan Roy says price of gold price action is saying what? Well, right now I think the algorithms, the Wall Street, they see that the Fed is probably going to have to tighten a bit more and stay, and it would take a little longer for them to cut, and maybe that's why gold has come off. But I think central banks are going to still be loading up on it like they did last year, the most gold buying since Bretton Woods. LG, when will petrodollar end? It's ending already, LG. But as I said some years ago, it doesn't happen overnight because it's like a British pound sterling when it lost its major reserve status. It took some years in the 40s and 50s for it to really lose its prestige. And but I mean, December 7th last year was a big day in terms of like the Chinese and the Saudis and the Gulf countries getting away from the petrodollar. They did an agreement with China to sell their oil and gas, natural gas in yuan. And I think the geopolitical situation now with the Chinese backing Russia, that's going to accelerate the use of the petrodollar even more. Jack B says gold should be dropping with U.S. interest rates up, but it's not dropping because of strong buying pressure from China. I don't think so, Jack B. I don't think it's because of China. It's because the Fed is way behind the curve. Prices are rising double digits. I don't believe in the 6.5%, and interest rates are still too low. In the 70s as well, interest rates went from like 4.5, 5 in the beginning of the 70s, all the way to 16% or 20%. And gold went from 35 to, well, almost $900. So yeah, that's why gold has gone up. Not your business really says, if you have £1,000, what does it go on? I guess you mean for if you have 1,000 in savings. I mean, I recently we had some fiat come in from a private pension, and we bought gold and silver. So, I mean, that's what I would do. Maybe keep some cash. I don't know if you need some cash reserves, fiat currency reserves for taxes and things like that, if you're self-employed. What I knew before, in New York City, Starbucks sells 10 large latte. It could buy 200 pounds of coffee beans. Okay. And that's the other thing as well. I saw someone say that gold should be $50,000 if it wasn't suppressed. The thing is, if it gets to that level, you're going to be measuring gold versus real things from the dollar is going to be finished when that happens. It's hyperinflation. So you really have to get used to measuring grams of gold or ounces of silver versus, I don't know, things that you need to purchase. And that's how it will work. Robert says paper gold keeps gold price under 2,000. They can print as much as they want. Not forever. Not forever, because if they could print as much as they wanted, the gold price would still be at $35 a troy ounce. James Lagar says, thanks for the videos. You're welcome. Alex thinks gold should be at $3,500. Arthur Cisneros, George Washington and founding fathers traded grains, wheat like currency in those times. Weight demand for food or gold. One ounce of silver, 7 Big Macs. I wouldn't want to, I mean, I try to stay, I haven't had a Big Mac in a long time. George Cranston, have you enjoyed your Italian wines? Yeah, I mean, I think I started buying them in 2020, and they've gone up a lot in price, but yeah, it wasn't like an investment, but I just thought that they were going to go up. So we have enjoyed it. Yeah, I think, but a lot of the stuff that went up a lot, like during lockdown, a lot of that's come down a little bit, but it doesn't mean to say it isn't a good investment over the long term. No, Alam, can you speak on Iraq accepting you won for oil? Yeah, I saw that headline about a week ago. And the thing is that China already has a deal to barter like 100,000 barrels of oil with Iraq. So I think this is more not to do with oil, but yeah, it just goes to show that these countries are trying to get away from the dollar. I don't think it's just more sign of de-dollarization. I think Paul from the Sirius report, he said that, yeah, they already have a deal in place where China barters. They give whatever they give to Iraq. Uh, I don't know, technical support or whatever, for their military or infrastructure, and they give them 100,000 barrels a day. So actually, this is the yuan. There is for the for Iraq importing other things from China. They're going to pay in yuan. LG, Jerome Powell, definitely not channeling Paul Volcker. Yeah, Paul, I think, Paul Volcker, he was the guy that advised Richard Nixon to close the gold window. So he was responsible for the mess in the 70s and early 80s because he worked for the US Treasury in 1971. And yeah, he cut rates in 1980, and then they realized they needed to raise rates again, and eventually they got inflation under control, but they had to raise it to 20%. I don't see you know Jay Powell raising. He needs to raise rates above 10%. I don't see him doing that, and if he does that, I think things will implode, because back in 1980, the debt to GDP was 35%, and we didn't have quadrillions in derivatives either. The world was a lot less leveraged and had a lot less debt. Jerry Moriarty, why does physical price go down when the paper goes down? Well, because the paper price is still what the dealers use as a reference, unfortunately. It's like the tail wagging the dog. That's what it is. What is your take on platinum? Well, platinum is a precious metals, but I'm not, and people use it for jewelry as well. And I think, industrial uses. But yeah, it tried to break out. Right now, it's still below 1,000. I'm talking about the price now. I don't have any platinum. I focus more on gold and silver, but I think platinum will do well because I think, yeah, hard assets are going to continue to do well. It's not smooth sailing, of course, but they will continue to do well. It's just going to be a rebalancing of things. We've had 40 years of financialization, and that's ended, in my opinion. And now we're going to have uh, hard assets and commodities are going to be a lot more important. So is energy. Someone's mentioning energy and water. And the global south, those countries, they have a lot more commodities than we have in Europe. America is different, but politically, they don't want people to extract commodities in the US so much, which I don't understand why. But anyway, what about the derivatives time bomb? Yeah, I mean, we saw that here in the UK in September, October. It exploded, didn't it? The derivatives time bomb, with the when the gilt market collapsed and interest rates went through the roof. And then the central bank came in and did QE. So I still believe that derivatives are going to be the big part. They're going to play a big part in bringing the system down, because derivatives basically mean a lot of margin, because derivatives are highly leveraged, and the whole system is leveraged, not just the derivatives, but the economies, the governments. So there you go. The first bomb went off, and the Bank of England was able to salvage it for now. Derivatives and stocks. Yeah, people do trade index futures, S&P index and options, but the biggest derivatives are in the interest rate sector, in interest rate swaps, in bonds, and also currencies. They dwarf stock equity derivatives actually, but they're quite big too, I would say. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. AG, and I guess that's First Majestic, came out with, I have some of those shares with earnings last week and disappointed, and the stock tanked. I increased my position at Friday's low. Do you think it's still a long-term play? As I said, yeah, I still own First Majestic. I have Hecla Mining, Pan American Silver. So yeah. Let's have a look here. Oh yeah. Yeah, derivatives are very important, of course. And the other thing that makes derivatives dangerous is volatility, especially in the bond market, government bond market. And that's what triggered as Gianfranco said, the derivatives time bomb. It almost brought down the whole defined benefit pension system in the UK. They're hours away from going to zero. So, yeah, this is not good here. Record-breaking global bond rally crumbles as fresh inflation fear grips investors. So what I was telling you guys, yields are going back up. And I think we could see a lot more volatility, and Japan as well. That's the market to keep an eye on as well. The new Bank of Japan governor, he's going to take over, I think, on the 8th or 9th of April. I think that's going to be an important period of time there to see how successful he is. So this is high grade bonds, how they did, in the beginning of the year, because bonds had their worst year probably in decades. And of course, in the beginning of the year, fund managers say, well, bonds had a really bad time, let's get involved. But as you can see now, it's going straight back down. Oh, that's another article I saw from Michael Snyder. They do not want peace, so you need to prepare for a horrific global war. Do I agree 100% with him? Not really, but it's a possibility. He says, I knew exactly what would happen when China unveiled their peace plan for the conflict in Ukraine. The night before, I told my wife Western leaders would immediately dismiss it. Yeah, as I said, he has the same opinion as I do. The neocons do not want peace. The only time and now that China seems to be 100% behind Russia, all bets are off. Someone's saying here the junior miners are a steal. Yeah, you need to be careful with junior miners. You need to, because a lot of those companies, they don't mine any gold. They're just exploring for gold. They haven't found it. And, if we do have like a liquidity crisis, a lot of those companies could go out of business because they might not get the funding. So yeah, you got to be careful. That's why I think you need to have some of the big miners, because they're already producing gold and silver. Jan Abrams, what do you think of GlintPay? Well, I've been cooperating, like partnering with them since 2018. They approached me. I have a promo code. It's called Mario Glint 79, I think, a referral. A lot of my viewers have a Glint GlintPay card, and they hold your gold in the allocated account, a vault in Switzerland, and you can spend your gold, or you can have dollars or euros and pounds. And I have a Glint card, but yeah, it's all personal. Some people prefer having the physical, and I prefer as well. I have a little bit in my Glint card. Some people think it's really convenient because they can just convert. Their premium is not that high because it's allocated. So yeah. Yeah, the yield curve inversion is getting steeper, but it could get even worse. So, but it's not a good sign. Wall Street, Goldman Sachs, I think, came out and saying this time it's different. It doesn't mean there's going to be a recession, but I think they're covering up recessions through deficit spending. The deficit is like over 5%, the budget deficit. And the more the government spends, the more deficit it spends, the more the GDP looks better, but it's all artificial. And like Michael Snyder says now, I think defense spending is going to go through the roof, and that's how they'll cover the recession. But eventually things are going to be, yeah, they're going to be a lot more difficult than they are right now. Carlos Garcia, what if a country needs gold to back their currency? They'll nationalize their mining production gold to hit 100,000. It's not speculative, must dollarize to avoid exchange. I'm not really sure I understand your question. You don't really need to nationalize the mines to have a gold-backed currency. All you need to do is exchange your, buy gold, stop issuing paper money and have bigger reserves of gold. That's what you have to do. John Franco says Goldman Sachs, the next Lehman Brothers. Possible. They should have gone under after Lehman in 08, but the Fed allowed them to become a bank holding company overnight, them and Morgan Stanley, so that they could access the discount window. If they, if you and I wanted to open a bank holding company, they probably would tell us off. But when Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley were going broke as investment banks, they allowed them to become bank holding companies in the weekend. So let's hope that Goldman Sachs is the next Lehman Brothers. That would be justice, really, because they don't really deserve to be in business as of now. 1,000 silver, how much longer? That can they keep gold and silver in the barn? I don't know. I mean, as I said, I've been stacking since 02. It's been frustrating, but that's what they do. They don't want you, the general public, involved, so they frustrate people. And yeah, I've learned to ignore it and just keep stacking. And yeah, I started stacking when gold was 220 pounds an ounce, and now it's over 1,500. But so for a period of time there, it went nowhere, not just recently, but also like from when I bought it in 2002, it was only in 06 that it started taking off. Arthur Cisneros, didn't Goldman initially back the creation of BRICS? No, they didn't really back the creation of BRICS. There's an economist at Goldman who he is the one who created that acronym, but it doesn't mean that they worked with those countries to to help them become. No, they created the acronym, so it doesn't mean that they backed the BRICS. Yeah, Alex, there's no capital gains for any gold or silver coin of the realm in the UK, but that could change, and I'm not saying that is going to change, but with elections next year, and some people think Labor are going to come into power, you never know. But as of now, yeah, there's no capital gains because it's legal tender. You can't really have capital gains on legal tender. Tom Miller, you can print money. It's called spending on your credit card, right? So we can all print in the fiat currency system. Uh, is Thomas Moran, is there anything abstract that you think could go up in value in the coming collapse? I've been buying vintage books as I think they could rise over time. Yeah, some books are really valuable, but and you have to know quite well about them. I'm not an expert, and they might not be as liquid as gold or silver or some other things. What else do I think is going to go up in value? I generally think things that are good quality and they're old and stylish. So, I mean, you can make up your mind about that. Yeah, not iPhones or iPads and stuff like that. Um, maybe old cars, I guess, from the 60s, classic cars that don't have too much electronics in them. I would say they could do well. I'm not an expert though. John Knox got a 1 ounce silver coin from Kazakhstan, one tangi or tang. M. Humphrey, what are your thoughts on numismatic coins versus bullion, gold and silver? I actually I like numismatics, and I'm not an expert, but I have quite a few uh, silver numismatic coins, but I also have bullion. Gold as well. I have some numismatic gold, and I actually had a 1903 commemorative gold dollar, the McKinley, Louisiana purchase. But I gave that to my nephew when I went to Switzerland. So I do like numismatics, but the bulk of what I have is more bullion. Even though in the silver side, I have quite a few numismatic silver coins. I like the florins and shillings, really old ones. They're really nice in the UK. And there's some also I have like an 1834 half dollar, for example. So I have some US numismatic coins too. 1,000 silver. Would you recommend to not buy gold and silver until you pay off your mortgage? Well, when I started buying gold and silver, I still had a mortgage. So, but as long as you try to pay off your mortgage, and yeah, unless you have a huge mortgage, no, yeah, you should try to pay it off. But yeah, generally speaking, yeah, you should always try to pay off your debt, but it shouldn't stop you from buying gold and silver if your cash flow is pretty good as well. Stephen M, vintage Rolex watches. Oh yeah, Rolex watches, they always do well. I have it's not a vintage, but it's a 2003 Explorer 2. I mean, I paid £2,000 for it. It's probably now I could get 7 or 8. But and there's a lot of other fine Swiss watches, but Rolex watches actually they shot up quite a bit during lockdown and last year. And Heart Attack is saying vintage Rolex watches will be cheap in a crash. I'm not sure. Over the long term, yeah, they've already dropped quite a bit, but they're still, uh, over the last 20 years, they've done well, I would say. Low blood pressure. I do have some Libertads, silver 1 ounce, and I have also a gold Libertad, which is like 1.2 ounces. That's one of my favorite gold coins. Shane O'Donnell, what gold and silver coins should you get in Europe? Well, it depends where in Europe. Here in the UK, you get coins of the realm. Are you? I don't know where you are, Shane. Are you in Ireland? I don't know. You could. I guess you're not paying. You could get anything really. I don't think they are Irish silver coins, but the UK coins are good if you're in Ireland, I think. And also sovereigns are good. I would say sovereigns and Britannias are the best. What about Marengo Gold Swiss coin? I've never heard of Marengo Gold. So I've heard of the Vrenely 20 francs gold. Libertad, too close to other words. Well, libertad just means liberty in Spanish, so I don't think it's that hard to say. Yeah, low blood pressure. He borrows a lot to buy silver, doesn't he? I owe nothing to the bank. Maxed out credit card for silver. Yeah, I try not to borrow to. I don't borrow to buy gold and silver, to be honest. Uh, Jerry Moriarty, countries cannot trust each other in truth of gold holdings. You're probably right. I think China probably has a lot more gold than they say, and the Americans probably have a lot less, the governments. But I think Greenspan, he said that in times of extremists, uh, like, and I think we're getting into those times. Gold will be the only form of payment. Not That's why all the BRICS countries are buying gold, because they know things are going to kick off, and only gold will be accepted as payment. And I think what's happening geopolitically as we wind down the live stream here is more reason to keep stacking gold and silver, and more reason not to worry about the fiat price, and buy it when the markets get hammered, like they have gotten hammered in the last few weeks. We've seen gold gone from 1965 to 1810, and yeah, and if you want to help this channel, check out below in the description, where I have some partners where you can buy gold from. I trust them. And yeah, and you might get a good deal from them. And they're reputable dealers as well, not just in the UK, but also in North America. Rumpelstiltskin, good morning. Why not borrow to buy gold? You borrow to buy your house. You believe both will go up. No, I mean, if you're young, I guess you could. I guess if you're young and you have a mortgage and you buy gold, you indirectly borrowing to buy gold and silver. At my age, at 58, I want to get away from that. So I guess it depends on your age, and make sure that you have enough, that you're pretty comfortable that you can get the cash flow to service that debt. I just don't, I just think the other commodity that's really important is peace of mind. So if you don't have any debt, you have peace of mind. But I kind of agree a little bit with you, Rumpelstiltskin, and I think Robert Kiyosaki would too. But he's like Yeah, people are different. People have different risk appetites. All I'm saying, this is the way I feel. You could do it differently as well, but you need to be careful. All right. So yeah, we've gone past the hour mark or even a little longer because I started earlier. Manic Miner, when you finish the live stream, give Rudy a big hug from me. I will. He was here earlier, but he wasn't calm enough to stay on the sofa. He went up on the, he was almost jumping off, and I had to like stop him. Uh Killed Sasquatch, when is the next skiing trip? Well, probably not until next year. You know, sometimes we go to Switzerland twice a year, but we might go in the summer. So there you go. All right, everyone, have a great week next week. February is almost over. I mean, we only got a couple of days, and I think the year is going by very quickly. So thanks again, everyone, and have a nice end of the rest of the weekend. Take care.